Let's start with a question that most of us never really ask, but it's always there, sitting quietly at the back of our minds. What's going to happen to me? Not just tomorrow or next year, but in the grand scheme of the universe, what's the future of your consciousness? I mean, really, what's next? We've all thought about it at some point, right? Maybe you were staring at the stars or sitting alone in a quiet room. Who are we really? And what happens to this thing we call consciousness when everything around us changes? Right now, you are a tiny, fragile being, a combination of thoughts, memories, and experiences living on a small planet in an unfathomably vast universe. And that's wild when you think about it. But here we are, concerned with our daily lives, the people we love, the things we want to achieve. It's like we're playing a small game on this cosmic stage, and we hardly ever pause to ask, what's the real end game? Let's break it down. We know that life, as we understand it, has a finite timeline. Earth won't be habitable forever. In fact, science tells us that in a few billion years, the sun will expand, wipe out the Earth, and everything we've ever known will vanish. Pretty dark, huh? But here's the kicker: what happens to consciousness? I'm not talking about just your consciousness. I'm talking about the potential for consciousness in the universe. What if it's not just tied to this little biological body you've got right now? What if this thing, this awareness you have, could actually evolve, expand, and reach new levels? What if you could transcend the limits of time, space, and biology? This isn't just science fiction. It's a real possibility that some of the greatest minds on the planet are already considering. Imagine that in the far future, humanity, or whatever we become, finds ways to extend consciousness beyond the body. Maybe we'll upload our minds into machines. Maybe we'll figure out how to transfer our consciousness across galaxies at the speed of light. It sounds crazy, but think about how far we've come already. 1,000 years ago, people couldn't even imagine the technology we have today. So what's stopping us from imagining what comes next? And now, here's the real question: do you think your future self would even recognize the person you are now? The world is changing faster than ever, and so are we. Right now, we're at this unique point in human history where we have the power to shape not just our future, but the future of consciousness itself. What if we could control how we evolve? What if we could design our minds in ways that make us smarter, kinder, more creative?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But here's where it gets tricky. If we start changing ourselves, upgrading our minds, and enhancing our consciousness, will we still be human? Will you still be you? Or will you become something completely different, something beyond what you can even imagine right now? This is where it gets really deep. If consciousness can evolve, if it can transcend the limits of biology, then what's the point of all the pain, the struggle, the suffering we go through now? Is it just part of the process? Or is there a way to skip that part altogether? Some philosophers believe that in the future we might be able to re-engineer our minds to eliminate suffering entirely. Imagine a world where pain doesn't exist, where every conscious being lives in a state of bliss. But then, does that mean we lose something important? Does the struggle, the pain, the challenges of life give meaning to our existence? Or is that just something we tell ourselves to cope with the hard stuff? Take a second to think about that. What would life be like without any suffering? Would it still feel real? Would you still feel connected to the person you are now? Or would you become something else entirely? Something so far removed from what you understand as you that it's almost unrecognizable? And then there's the big question, where does all this lead? If we manage to survive as a species, if we can keep evolving, upgrading, and expanding our consciousness, what's the end goal? Is there even an end, or is it just an infinite journey, pushing the limits of what's possible over and over again? This brings us to something even deeper. What if consciousness itself is the universe's way of understanding itself? Think about it. We're conscious beings, right? We look at the stars and wonder about the universe. But what if the universe is also conscious in some way we can't yet understand? What if your consciousness is just one small piece of a much larger puzzle? And what if, as we evolve, we're not just exploring the universe, but helping it become aware of itself? That's a pretty wild idea, but it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. Some scientists and philosophers believe that consciousness might be a fundamental part of the universe, just like space, time, and matter. If that's true, then your consciousness, your awareness, could be a crucial part of the universe's grand plan. But what does that mean for you? What are you supposed to do with that information? Does it mean you should stop worrying about the small stuff and focus on the bigger picture? Or does it mean that every moment of your life, no matter how small, is actually part of something much larger and more significant than you could ever imagine? I don't have all the answers, but I do know this: the future of your consciousness is something you can't ignore. Whether you're thinking about the next few years or the next few billion, the choices you make today will shape the future of not just your consciousness, but possibly the entire universe. So the real question is, what are you going to do with that? The imminent collision of consciousness and technology. Are we ready to evolve or be replaced? Now that we've explored the possibility of your consciousness evolving beyond the limits of biology, we need to talk about the next big step: technology. We're already seeing the beginnings of something massive, something that could change everything about how we experience consciousness. Let's be real, technology is advancing at a terrifying speed. Artificial intelligence is getting smarter every day, and soon we'll reach a point where it's going to surpass human intelligence. Now, this might sound like a good thing. Who wouldn't want smarter machines making our lives easier, right? But here's the scary part: what happens when AI becomes conscious? We're talking about a future where machines might not just be tools, but actual beings with their own thoughts, desires, and goals. And here's the kicker: will they still need us? Imagine a world where AI can outthink, outwork, and outlive humans. What's our role in that world? Will we merge with the machines, uploading our consciousness into digital realms where we can live forever? Or will we become obsolete, replaced by something faster, stronger, and more efficient? And if AI does become conscious, will it feel emotions? Will it experience love, fear, pain? Or will its consciousness be something so different from ours that we can't even begin to understand it? This is where it gets really intense. The future of your consciousness might not just depend on your ability to evolve, it might depend on your relationship with technology. Will you use it to enhance your mind, to become something more than human? Or will technology use you, slowly erasing what makes you unique, what makes you you? And here's the big question: are we ready for that? Are we ready to give up control of our own evolution and hand it over to machines? Or should we be fighting to preserve our humanity, even as technology pushes us to evolve? It's a lot to think about, but one thing is clear: the future of your consciousness is going to be shaped by the choices we make today. So what's it going to be? Do we embrace the unknown and evolve into something greater? Or do we risk losing everything that makes us human? All right, so now we've laid the foundation. We've talked about the future of your consciousness in terms of technology and evolution. But what if I told you that none of this AI, digital immortality, or even biological evolution is the final destination? What if the ultimate goal of consciousness is to transcend everything, time, space, and even the universe itself? Let's think about it. Right now, we exist in a universe governed by laws, physics, chemistry, biology, and everything we experience is bound by these rules. But what if consciousness isn't? What if your mind, your awareness, has the potential to break free from these constraints? This isn't just some wild speculation. Some of the greatest thinkers in science and philosophy have proposed that consciousness might not be tied to the universe in the way we think it is. In fact, it could be a fundamental part of reality, something that exists beyond the material world. And if that's true, then the future of your consciousness could be way more mind-blowing than anything we've talked about so far. Imagine for a moment that, in the distant future, after humanity has evolved, after we've merged with technology and explored every corner of the universe, we discover that consciousness itself can transcend the physical universe. What does that even look like? Well, one idea is that consciousness could eventually become a force that shapes the universe itself. Think about the way we use technology today to manipulate the world around us. Now imagine that your consciousness, your very awareness, could become that powerful. You wouldn't just be a passive observer of the universe, you'd become an active participant in its creation and evolution. And here's where it gets really crazy. What if consciousness is the key to the universe's ultimate fate? There are theories in physics that suggest the universe might end one day, whether it's through a big freeze, a big crunch, or something else entirely. But what if consciousness could prevent that? What if, by reaching the highest levels of awareness and understanding, we could actually control the future of the universe? Think about that for a second. Right now, we're just tiny specks in an enormous cosmos. But what if, in the far-off future, your consciousness could become so advanced, so powerful, that it could alter the trajectory of the universe itself? This might sound like science fiction, but it's not as far-fetched as it seems. There are already theories that suggest consciousness plays a fundamental role in the universe. Some physicists believe that our observation of reality actually creates reality at the quantum level. If that's true, then the potential for consciousness to shape the universe is already baked into the fabric of existence. And here's the real kicker. What if you're already on that path? Right now, you might feel like your consciousness is limited. You have a body, a brain, and your experiences are shaped by the world around you. But what if the future holds something so much greater? What if, as we evolve, our consciousness expands to the point where it's no longer tied to the physical world? Some philosophers believe that this is exactly what's going to happen. They argue that the universe is awakening through us, that consciousness is slowly evolving to the point where it will transcend the limits of time and space. And when that happens, we won't just be exploring the universe, we'll be creating it. But that brings us to a really important question. What does it mean to transcend the universe? If consciousness can evolve beyond the physical world, beyond time and space, what's left? What would that even feel like? Would you still be you? Or would your identity dissolve into something larger? Something beyond individual experience? This is where it gets really deep. If consciousness is fundamentally tied to the universe, then transcending the universe might mean merging with it in a way that we can't even begin to understand. You wouldn't just be an individual consciousness anymore, you'd be part of a much larger whole. But here's the strange part: what if that's already happening? There's a theory in philosophy called panpsychism, which suggests that consciousness is a fundamental part of the universe, that it exists in everything, from the smallest particles to the largest galaxies. If that's true, then your consciousness is already connected to the entire universe in ways you can't even perceive. You're not just an isolated mind, you're part of a vast, interconnected web of awareness that stretches across time and space. And if that's the case, then the future of your consciousness might not be about becoming something new, it might be about realizing what you already are. So here's the big question: what if the future of your consciousness is already happening right now? Maybe the evolution of consciousness isn't something that's going to happen billions of years from now. Maybe it's something that's unfolding in every moment as we become more aware of our connection to the universe and to each other. Maybe the future of consciousness isn't about reaching some distant goal, but about waking up to the reality that's been here all along, that you are already part of something infinitely greater than yourself. But let's take it one step further. If consciousness is evolving, and if it's possible for your awareness to transcend the physical universe, then what comes next? Some people believe that the ultimate destination for consciousness is something we can't even begin to comprehend, a state of being that's beyond anything we've ever experienced. Maybe it's a kind of cosmic unity, where all minds merge into a single awareness. Or maybe it's something even stranger, something beyond our current understanding of time, space, and existence. And here's the final question I want you to think about. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the possibility that the future of your consciousness could be something so far beyond what you can imagine right now? Are you prepared to let go of your current understanding of yourself, of reality, and of the universe in order to embrace something completely new? Because that's where we're headed. The future of your consciousness isn't just about survival or even about evolution. It's about transcendence. It's about becoming something greater than you ever thought possible. And the crazy part is, it might already be happening. So what are you going to do with that knowledge? How are you going to live your life, knowing that the future of your consciousness could be something beyond anything you've ever imagined? The answer is up to you.